Imagine enduring years of unfair treatment, and suddenly a path to a quick resolution opens wide. In these high-stakes moments, a perfect opportunity often doubles as a spiritual trap. This is the reality David faces. He is backed into a corner in this unforgiving wilderness, unjustly hunted and vastly outnumbered by King Saul's elite strike force of 3,000 soldiers. Instead of retreating further, David takes the initiative. Under the cover of darkness, he and his right-hand man, Abishai, quietly slip past the outer perimeter and infiltrate the very center of the enemy camp. They find the entire army in the grip of an unnatural, divinely induced sleep. No guards are on watch. King Saul lies on the ground before them, completely exposed and entirely vulnerable. To any observer, the divine setup is undeniable. It appears as though God has handed David the perfect chance for a clean, surgical strike to secure his own vindication. Standing over the sleeping king, Abishai leans in and whispers the obvious conclusion: God has delivered your enemy into your hands today. He practically begs David for the order to strike. Abishai's advice carries immense weight because it sounds so spiritual. It aligns perfectly with their military capability and promises an immediate end to David's suffering, wrapping a tempting shortcut in the language of divine providence. But David refuses the shortcut, asking a question that halts the momentum. Who can lay a hand on the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? David disregards the ease of the situation and the depth of Saul's crimes. He focuses entirely on the fact that Saul carries God's anointing. For David, respecting the position God established is a direct act of honoring God himself. True maturity requires evaluating an opportunity against God's explicitly revealed will, rather than its immediate benefits. Even the most inviting shortcuts can lead directly into a moral trap. David chooses a different path. He reaches down and quietly removes Saul's spear and a water jug from right beside the king's head, physical artifacts that will serve as undeniable proof of his mercy. He slips back into the night, climbing to a safe elevated distance on the opposite hill. Only when a massive canyon separates them does he break the silence, shouting across the valley to wake the sleeping camp. His tone is remarkably humble. David avoids the language of a conquering hero, instead asking why the king of Israel is spending so much effort hunting a dead dog, a flea. Yet that humility coexists with a firm reproach. He calls out Saul's commanding general, Abner, for failing in his primary duty to protect the king. David demonstrates that standing for truth and righteousness never requires adopting the toxic, aggressive behavior of one's oppressor. Down in the camp, King Saul wakes up and realizes his life was spared. Overwhelmed by the grace he didn't deserve, he publicly admits his failure. "I have played the fool and erred exceedingly." Despite this emotional apology, David makes a critical choice. He refuses to walk down the hill and return to Saul's side. He understands the distinction between extending forgiveness and restoring trust. David lets go of bitterness without foolishly returning to a dangerous and unstable relationship. This encounter in the wilderness establishes a clear principle. Enduring severe injustice does not grant someone the right to forcefully overthrow the authority God has placed over them. David's legacy as a man after God's own heart rests on these high-pressure moments. When given the chance to seize his own interests, he chose the fear of God over his own convenience.